Hello everyone, we're going to be working in Illustrator today to be creating our typography poster, which is a poster that is created with only text. We are going to keep it very basic and keep it very simple, but this lesson is to show you how you can create a quick and effective looking advertisement or poster, or in this case, this is going to be our reference guide cover, simply with text and no images. And we'll be using the design principles, contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity in order to create this. So all of the principles will be applied here. So what you need to do is you need to launch Adobe Illustrator from the folder on the desktop. And once you've launched Adobe Illustrator, go under the File menu to create a new file. And what we're looking for is a new document. And once this window comes up, you have a few things that you can choose from that are default. And since our destination is print over here, we are going to move across the menu to choose print. And industry standard, we have letter size, which is 8.5 by 11. However, here it's represented by points. So if we go to the right-hand side, we can change points to inches, which is, again, industry standard here for most printers. And we want to keep our orientation as vertical here, so portrait. We do not want to choose landscape, as this is the cover for our reference guide. And if we take a look at the bottom, because our destination is print, we can choose, or it has already set up CMYK, so 4-color process, cyan, magenta, yellow, and key color or black. Plus it's already set up for pixels per inch, or we could replace this with a D for dots per inch as well, at 300. 72 dots per inch is for digital screens, and it is not adequate in size for printing. So imagine taking a 72 dots per inch 8.5 by 11. You would have to expand each dot at 72 to fill 300. So you can see how an image would break down in this case. So now that we have this set up, we can even title this. Now you can always title it later when you save it. And the title for this will be Reference Guide Cover. And once everything else here is set up, you can click Create. Once your page is created, we're going to take a look at the toolbox here. And we're only going to be using two tools for this exercise, the selection tool and the type tool. And off to the right hand side, we will also be using our swatch palette so that we can choose some colors in here. Mine might look a little different. You can change the appearance of this menu here. We also want to make sure that we're using the fill color and not the stroke color. We want to keep all our colors filled with whatever color here and avoid any strokes, which means the fill color needs to be sitting on top. You can see that they are interchangeable. So if I click on stroke, the stroke color will be filled and is sitting on top of the fill box, and vice versa. If I click on the fill box, it is sitting in front of the stroke box. So we know which we will be changing the color of. So let's move on to the text tool, the type tool. We're going to click on that. I'm going to just shade this or minimize this here. And when we're setting up our text for our typography poster, in Illustrator, the best way to set up text is to simply click and type. If you click and drag a box, you'll end up typing within a box and it does not react the same. So I'll quickly demonstrate here. If I simply click, I get my lorem ipsum, my Greek text for placement, and I'm going to type in the word reference for reference guide. I'm going to highlight that text. Also make sure, in order to highlight, if I'm clicked over here, I might create a new text box because there's a box sitting around my text tool. As you can see, as I hover closer to the text, as soon as that outline box disappears, I know that I can click and drag and highlight my text. Using Control-Shift greater than on the keyboard, I'm going to increase the size, or you can grab the selection tool, grab a corner anchor point, hold Shift, and drag your text bigger as well, so it reacts like an object instead of text. So here's one point of reference. Here's the other thing too. This is a text box, or it appears to be a text box, but if I click on the text tool, it's actually type on a line. So now you can see that when I move my mouse down here, a box appears around my text tool, and I can click and drag a text box. Notice all the text that's in here. And if I type reference guide or reference here, and I enlarge the text, Command Shift greater than, I get the exact same thing. However, when I click on my black arrow and I want to rotate this text, here's how both of them react. So I'll just move this one out of the way. If I click on the word reference, which was typed on a line, just simply click and type, I can hover my mouse over the corner to get a double-ended curved arrow to click and drag so I can rotate my text. It will rotate from the center. If I hold the Shift key down, it allows me to rotate that text box, or I should say it's type on a line, but it has a bounding box right now. I can click and drag holding my Shift key and get a perfect 90-degree angle. Let go of your mouse first, always, before you let go of your keyboard, and this is what you get. But if you type in a box, so you click and drag a box with into type, when I hover my mouse over the corner and get the same double-ended arrow, click and drag, you can see that the text does not rotate on an angle. It actually wants to stay on the baseline grid that's created here in the font. So this is why we don't want to click and drag and type inside a box. This is why we want to simply grab our text tool and simply click and start typing so that we have some text that will react however we want to rotate it. We can move it however we like, and we have complete control over that. So now that we have the word reference with the black arrow, I'm going to click on the black arrow. I'm going to move this up, and we need several words here. So we have a reference guide, and we need reference guide, graphic design principles 2017. So we have several words that we're going to create, so I'm going to do that now. Just going to shrink this down a little bit because we need at least, I believe, 12 words here. And with this word reference, we can copy and paste doing Command C, Command V, and we copy and paste the object. However, I'm going to delete that with my backspace button. If I click on the object, we have learned already that the Alt key, when clicked, when held down and hovered over an object, you can see that the arrow turns into a double-ended or a double arrow, which means whatever we click on now and drag, so I'm going to do that now, click, drag, and drop, holding my Alt key, I get a copy. Now, before I do anything else, Illustrator has this excellent quick key combination that allows us to duplicate the last action we performed. And the last action we performed was with the Alt key, a drag and drop copy. So if I do Command D now, it will duplicate the last operation that I performed. So now I have several text words on here, and now I'm going to click with the type tool. I'm going to double click each word, and I'm going to change the text into words that I'm going to be using throughout my document. Now, why do I need separate text lines with separate text? Well, it's so that I can treat each one of these words as a building block to my typography poster. So I don't want any returns and type, return, type, because it's all part of the That's not what I want. I want individual words that I can move around independently, which is why we want separate pieces here. Please make sure that when you type out the words that you actually spell them correctly. Repetition has 2 E's and 2 I's. Alignment only has 1 L, and those are the 2 common errors that I see most of the time. Now notice I'm not really paying too much attention to the all caps or whatever. It's because eventually I want us to change them to all caps, and I'll show you why in a minute. So MKT, so I still need one more. So I'm going to click on my black arrow, click on the image, hold Alt and drag to make a copy. I still need the date. I also need, so I'm going to need 2 more of these. So click, Alt, drag, click, Alt, drag. You also need your name as part of this exercise because this is your reference guide cover. And I'll end this video here, and we will start arranging our text into place, choosing a font, and also creating all caps in the next video.